It was big day for Labour yesterday as Keir Starmer took to the stage and had a speech in front of crowd. Keir Starmer was caught slurring his words and having cognitive crash, which we will take a look at today, whilst also seeing what he has said to certain things. Not only that, but we will also go over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like and subscribe button and join our fast-growing community. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been accused of a disingenuous keynote speech at the Labour Party conference today in Liverpool, as his address to supporters was torn apart by a body language expert. Speaking to party members today, Starmer outlined his plans for Britain as he admitted he hasn't got everything right in his first 3 months in office. He told the crowd, "Service does not mean we'll get everything right. It doesn't mean everyone will agree. But it does mean we understand that every decision we take together, and that it is our duty to the British people to face up to necessary decisions in their interests." Analysing the first major speech for the PM since winning the general election, body language expert Darren Stanton said Starmer's confidence was not where he wanted it to be, and he appeared nervous. Stanton claimed, "The first thing that struck within the first 10 seconds of the speech was the fact that he had what we call a masking smile, and that's almost like a disingenuous smile, which is masking nerves and lack of confidence. We're looking for something called crow's feet, or laugh lines, and they're engaged when someone's actually displaying a genuine emotion. So in my mind, straight off the bat, he wasn't feeling that confident straight away in his delivery." When asked by the interviewer if he believed the content of the speech was lackluster, Stanton agreed, "That's actually a word I used to describe the speech earlier on. This is a man who was never going to have the charisma of somebody like Barack Obama, for example. He was a great orator. So I think he started off relatively in a good place, but for me it went downhill quite rapidly." In criticism of the promises made by Starmer in the speech, Stanton noted that the Prime Minister is using the same old phrases, stressing we have already heard it before. Stanton explained, "I think a lot of the ways he phrases things, it's the same old phrases, like we're all in it together and country first. We've already heard it all before." The other thing I noticed is, one of the most genuine parts of what he said was when he spoke about family, and he went from looking at the audience to looking down. He went off a tangent, and that was kind of quite emotive for him. But I think everything else for me didn't really hit what it needed to hit. He may have got 4 standing ovations, but I don't think the electorate have been sold on it personally. Offering his thoughts on the speech, Martin said Starmer was relying on those usual soundbites to get him through to the next point. Martin said, "How many times are we going to hear about fixing the foundations, party first, country second? Populism is a politics of easy answers. We've got a long-term plan. All of these are props for when people are nervous, they're forgetting their way. And so they rely on these crutches to get them through to the next point." Stanton agreed, concluding, "They're default safety steps. I've assessed every head-to-head debate since 2010, and I know we've seen certain details and gestures from other politicians, but I think certainly with the speech today, I think it's probably one of the worst I've seen." Keir Starmer also had a cognitive crash as he spoke about sausages. Check the clip.
"I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages."
In other news, British nationals have been told to leave Lebanon immediately, Defence Secretary John Healey has said, amid rising concern about the possibility of a wider war in the Middle East. There is increasing concern in the West over increasing hostilities between Israeli forces and Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Hezbollah had vowed to exact just punishment on Israel for what it called its sinful aggression after the attacks on its fighters through pagers and walkie-talkies rigged with explosives. Ministers continue to call for a ceasefire immediately to end the cycle of violence, as more than 500 people killed in Lebanon in the past 24 hours. The news came as Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, flew from his party's conference in Liverpool to New York City to address the United Nations General Assembly later this week. The UK government said on Tuesday night that military teams were now moving to Cyprus as contingency planning is rolled out to support British nationals in Lebanon and the region. Around 700 UK troops will move to Cyprus in the coming hours, as the government begins the first phase of its contingency plans following significant escalation between Israel and Lebanon in recent days. Defence Secretary John Healey MP said, "Events in the past hours and days have demonstrated how volatile this situation is, which is why our message is clear: British nationals should leave now. We continue to urge all sides to step back from conflict to prevent further tragic loss of life. Our government is ensuring all preparations are in place to support British nationals should the situation deteriorate. I want to thank the British personnel who are deploying in the region for their commitment and professionalism. The military teams will be supported by Border Force and FCDO officials. The UK already has a significant diplomatic and military footprint in the region, including RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus and Royal Navy ships RFA Mounts Bay and HMS Duncan, which have remained in the eastern Mediterranean to support British nationals and allies over the summer. The Royal Air Force also has aircraft and transport helicopters on standby to provide support if necessary. The call comes after the Defence Secretary held a meeting with ministers, intelligence chiefs and diplomats on Tuesday afternoon to test government planning. Speaking en route to New York for a meeting of the United Nations General Assembly, Keir Starmer told Britons in Lebanon, "Now is the time to leave." He said, "The most important message from me this evening is to British nationals in Lebanon to leave immediately, and I just want to reinforce that. Yes, we are ramping up the contingency plans. I think that you would expect that in light of the escalation. But it is important that we be really clear. Now is the time to leave. More broadly, I am worried about the situation, and I think we need to be clear. We need de-escalation. We need a ceasefire. We need to pull back from the brink. I think that will be amongst the first topics we discuss in New York." Lastly, Prince Harry had an awkward reunion with a journalist after she made a scathing remark about the Duke in her memoir. During his whistle-stop tour of New York City, the Duke of Sussex attended a panel discussion titled "Everything, Everywhere, All at Once," held during the Clinton Global Initiative's annual meeting. The royal joined former US President Bill Clinton and his daughter Chelsea, the World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, and conservationist Dame Jane Goodall. Journalist Katie Couric also joined the panel, despite previously making a brutal comment about a past meeting with Harry. In her 2021 memoir, she claimed that Harry stunk of cigarettes and alcohol, with it oozing from every pore when she interviewed him in 2012. The interview was part of the late Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee, with the journalist's comment painting the royal in an unflattering light. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.